You can hear me, can't you? Now then, please open your eyes.
Yo, what up? Yo, welcome back to episode 4. And today I want to talk about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot Season Pass 1. I want to go through New Power Awakens Part 1 and New Power Awakens Part 2 and Trunks, the Warrior of Hope. So first I want to begin talking about the New Power Awakened Part 1. So with this DLC, you get a new transformation, a few sub-stories, and a new way to gain XP. That's the basic of what this DLC offers. If I really have to just give a overall summary of this DLC, is that it's very lazy. Though you get a new planet, it's mainly like the land of the Kais as far as what it has to offer. There's very little interaction with anyone there. It's kind of like an alive dead planet. You see the trees that are alive, but you see the bigger trees that stand out in the background that are completely dead. They should be cut down, but you know, they're not. So here you have where you could fight against Beerus, which is really tough, man. I think it was a good idea for them to do that because he's the strongest fighter in, you know, Universe 7. And here you have the Fish in the Glass, which is your buy and sell and trade dude. And then you have Wiz, in which you get to go and do your basic training with, which gives you sacred water for you to level up even faster. And not just with Goku and Vegeta, but you can use this on other characters like Piccolo, Trunks, Yamcha, Tien, and all of those guys to get their levels higher as well. So even though this game only gave you a new transformation and a couple of new moves, such as the one you see here where Vegeta turns Super Saiyan Red and the Ki Blast come out of his hand, I think it was dope that they gave Wiz Ultra Instinct in a couple of settings during your fight. But even though the game doesn't get many things right, there was one thing that it did very, very well. And it made me feel as though I was literally training with Wiz to get stronger. Because you would get these sacred waters, and I think these ultimate or ultra sacred waters from him and from Beerus when you fought against him and defeated him as well, which would help further level up your character and make him more powerful. I think that was something they did really, really well with making me feel as though I was no longer on planet Earth and I was on Beerus's planet training with him and getting stronger. And then after that, what happened? You just simply go back to your original story back on Earth with this new power and new training. They did that really, really well. So that was something that was a positive that I did get from the DLC, besides all the other minute things that they added to it. But by far, this is my least favorite DLC of them all. Now, on to the next DLC. A New Power Awakens Part 2. This is actually my most favorite DLC, and the reason being is because it was the most interesting one from beginning to end. Though it's not as heavily invested in as the Trunks DLC or the Bardock DLC, where you actually get, you know, full planets or larger areas to explore, more side missions, and it kind of feel like it's their own story. It just held my attention from beginning to end. From the transformation, going from Super Saiyan Red to Super Saiyan Blue, I think was just dope. The sub missions or side quests they had on here was actually interesting and quite hilarious, if I may add my own opinion. And definitely, man, the fight with Frieza was the one that really did it with me. Fighting him was interesting. It was really hyped to me to be able to beat this guy. And he was a tough challenge as gold. So this one right here takes the gold for me, hands down. So I know you see the time machine, but don't worry about that. This is actually me visiting the Frieza DLC after I've already beat it to get you guys footage to show you a little bit more what the landscape is like and what the DLC had to offer. So in this one, the area is very similar to what it is on Earth because, of course, they are on Earth. So it's not really that much different as far as in, you know, what you're going to get visually. But what it had to offer was really good, right? They got to fight against the Ginyu Force once again. And there were some other dudes you got to interact with or whatever. But as far as like really being interactive, it's very similar to what it was like on Beerus's home planet or planet, where you don't really get to talk to anybody. There's not really much you can do there besides like collect orbs or other things for like making meals. But the main reason why you here, especially after you beat it, is for Golden Frieza, and you can fight him as many times as you like. And each time that I fight him or I fought him, it has been interesting, man. So I went in with just Goku Blue, I went in with just Vegeta Blue, or even with just like Trunks. And this guy was a challenge each and every time I fought him. For some people it may have been easier, but for me, man, this guy was definitely one of my most favorite guys to fight out of the entire game. That just goes to show you that you don't have to drop a lot of content or come up with a new design to make the DLCs interesting. I think they did a hell of a job on this one, man. I definitely give them a round of applause. So look at the graphics. They're about to go from scene to scene and show this beautiful destruction of planet Earth from location to location. So from each DLC, it seems as if they're building upon one another to make it better. Now on to our final DLC, Trunks, a Warrior of Hope. Now I can see why many would consider this to be their #1 and top DLC, even over the Bardock DLC, because it's so much content that is in here. This is where I believe they just began to say, hey, look, we want to give these guys what they're asking for. It may not have been the exact DLC we wanted, but the content that they dropped in here and the new innovations and what they put in and how they implemented things were really, really amazing, right? Like this one, for example. Gohan's going to his final battle, and you can see here clearly that he's missing one of his arms, and when he goes to battle against the android, that's what you're fighting with, just one arm, and you're overpowered by these two androids, which were extremely annoying to fight. That just goes to show you just how difficult they were. And I mean, I really got frustrated fighting them, and that's a good thing because they're not supposed to be easy. That's how they really suck you into the timeline and sell you the story, right? So another thing that they did really, really well that I really loved about this DLC as well is playing with Gohan. And right here, how they implemented this and did this whole scene with Gohan being extremely fatigued, beaten, and just tired. He can't form Kai waves. He's punching. They're doing very minimal damage. This was the best way to sell Gohan's death, to show just how helpless he was, how helpless he was in the end. And this one really did it for me. I didn't think they would even have anything like this in the game. I thought he would just fight until, of course, you know, he got beat up or you beat them, and then they went to a cutscene and he kind of lost that way. But for them to put this in here, this was what they needed to do. And it really built to deliver to this next scene of where we are now at Gohan's death. This part right here, I remember the first time I seen it on DVD, it just really, man, pulled on my emotional strings. They did a really good job captivating this and bringing this to life through the DLC. And just when you thought that was it, they give us a flashback of Vegeta and Trunks training in a hyperbolic time chamber. When I say this was dope, this was dope. Another thing I did not expect from this DLC was this one, especially with the hair that Trunks have. This is a hairstyle that many more Dragon Ball Z fans prefer over the old Raggedy Ann, bowl on the head, Timmy haircut that he has when he first comes, you know, from the future. But this was a dope flashback, man. I really enjoyed it. Now, of course, they fast forward us in the timeline, putting it back to where Trunks returns from the past back to his future, and he fights against Cell. This was another highly anticipated battle that I really look forward to. And when I say I put the smackdown on Cell, I put the smackdown on Cell. It was hype. It was interesting, man. It was everything that you would expect it to be. So yeah, definitely had fun with that one. After you beat Cell, they rebuild the city, and then the locations kind of just seem like, or are, what it is in the original Kakarot game, right? So I don't visit the Trunks DLC much at all, because all the places they kind of have on here, which is definitely fewer than is in the original game and story, but they are rebuilt, right? They're just the exact same places that are in the original timeline. So for me to go here and play with Trunks, I really don't do that much. So a post game for Trunks for me just didn't really make any sense, especially since all of what he had here, he came to the original story and timeline with, so I could just play with him in mind and still have, you know, all of my transformations and moves from my other characters, because in Trunks' timeline, he's the only playable character. Gohan's dead, and shoot, there's nobody else. So this is the spoiler I was talking about. Trunks is visited by a midget and an overly stocked prick. by the name of Kibito, and the midget is Supreme Kai. Didn't expect him to be there, but they saying they've been watching him in his Super Saiyan powers, so they take him to the land of the Kais to pull the sword up like Gohan did, but it's in Trunks' timeline. So he uses this sword in his Super Saiyan powers to fight against Dabura. And when I say this fight was interesting as well, man, I can't say it enough. It was hype. It was dope. It was what it should have been. Because not only are you going against Dabura, you're running from this midget on the side with a bald head and some green magical powers he's throwing at you, while you're trying to get close to Dabura to beat him and take him out. So this was definitely the fight of all fights to top him off. This battle was definitely fire. And not only that, man, there was another surprise I think that topped everything. I know each thing keeps building upon the next in succession, but this was a part that really got me, that I didn't expect, apart from having the Majin Buu saga in the Trunks DLC, was a simple fact that Trunks had a Gohan versus Cell moment and burst into Super Saiyan 2. That stole the show for me, because it opened up a whole new everything that I didn't expect. So this is my review, man. If you don't have the season pass, buy it. It's definitely worth it. My review was done on a Nintendo Switch, and as you can see, the graphics are nice, man. The gameplay is smooth and everything. So if you guys like this, please like, subscribe, and comment down below if it's anything I missed or anything you guys would like to add. And this is oh no, not another reviewer. Until next time.